Yeah, like this is like one of those things you just want to keep eating until oblivion, until like you just need to pass out and like vomit yourself. This is easily one of my most favorite Filipino dishes of all time. So last week we learned how to make a Visayan version of adobo, but today we're going to be learning how to make one of my favorite Filipino dishes of all time, Kare Kare. To break it down, Kare Kare is essentially an oxtail beef stew emulsified with peanut butter, seasoned with aromatics, and loaded with vegetables such as eggplant, okra, bok choy, string beans, and tripe. It's something that is so indulgent and rich and time-consuming to make, as you'll see in the video, but it's something that's extremely well worth the time and effort. The origins of Kare Kare are pretty contested, and to my current knowledge, I do not think that it is as regional as the sinigang or the adobo that you saw in the 2 episodes prior to this. But what I do know is that Kare Kare is essentially derived from the words curry curry. Looks are deceiving because it does not look like your normal image of curry. So this week my friend Bobby will be teaching me how to make this unctious rich treat, Kare Kare. Bobby is a friend of mine that runs a pop-up here in Oakland in the Bay Area called Likha Eats. He worked 2 years abroad in New York studying how to cook Western food, but eventually came to his roots of coincidentally being a Kapampangan. So after diving back into his Philippine heritage, he started his pop-up Likha Eats to promote, portray, and do his own rendition of Filipino food. I also just want to say that it's very important to mention that this is my friend Bobby's special rendition of Kare Kare. You'll find a couple of ingredients that are not traditionally found in the dish, which at the end of the day is Bobby's interpretation of it, because he is a chef trying to create Filipino food in his own voice. Aside from the ingredients, one other way that it is different is that we use a Instapot or a pressure cooker to break down the oxtail. Usually you would use a Dutch oven or a large pot, simmer it down, boil it over many hours, but because we kind of want to save time, the pressure cooker allows us to do what would normally take anywhere between 3 to 4 hours into 1 hour. Also, if you are interested in making this at home, please check the description box down below where you will find the ingredients and the recipe on how to make Bobby's version of this dish. So let's see how Bobby's special Kare Kare is made. What's up guys, I'm here again with my friend Bobby from Likha Eats, another Filipino chef, very talented, and today we're going to be learning how to make one of the most delicious, time-consuming, and personally one of my favorite Filipino dishes, Kare Kare.
It was one of my favorite dishes as well. I am half Kapampangan. Dad and my uncle just rave about this dish and they're so prideful about it. We're gonna do a little bit different take on it. I'm a chef first, so it's just like little notes that I found as I used to make it with a lot of repetition that I just felt like there's better ways to develop more flavor into the dish.
Our general ingredients are oxtail, tripe, onion, garlic, bagoong, and some other vegetables like eggplant, okra sometimes, long beans, and like bok choy.
Bok choy, yeah.
So those are basically everything you need. The only thing that may be hard to get is oxtail or tripe. Just check an Asian supermarket. But
or a Spanish supermarket.
Or Spanish, yeah, basically.
They have it too.
Yeah, like that's something, one thing I learned is like Philippine and Mexican culture are pretty intertwined because of like the galleon trade.
Both colonized by Spain, so
yeah.
That helps a lot too.
I've only made Kare Kare maybe like 2 times my whole life. I think it's pretty hard, very time consuming, so
super time consuming.
I think it's important to like kind of explain what Kare Kare is right now though, because when I try and explain it, I say it's like a beef stew curry.
Yes.
Beef stew peanut curry. There you go.
That's actually, I'm very close. I say it's more of a beef pot roast.
Yeah, but it's like really something you need to eat yourself and try to really like, damn, this is hella good.
It's like super unctuous, super rich. The peanutty flavor actually keeps me going back every time I eat it. Me being American born, I didn't really eat much Filipino food that wasn't like the party favorites.
Right,
obviously.
Like lumpia, pancit.
Yeah, lumpia, pancit, adobo.
Yeah.
I didn't really have Kare Kare until I hit middle school. One thing I learned about Filipinos is like, depending on your palate, you just love this dish funky. Heating up the pan first, I'm gonna sear the oxtail in a cast iron or just like in a Dutch oven. Try to get as much flavor as I can, like as much brownie and caramelization as I can.
Yeah.
And it kind of like seals the meat.
Yeah.
And you just get a deeper flavor in your stew when you brown bones or brown meat.
Right.
That you're gonna cook for damn near like 4 hours. But we're actually gonna kind of fast forward our situation. I borrowed an Instapot from a cousin.
Yeah.
And we're gonna turn a 4-hour dish into hopefully 1 hour.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Braising oxtail is definitely the longest part of this.
The good thing about oxtail, it was like a peasant cut. That was actually really expensive.
Yeah, it's gotten super expensive.
Sadly, because everyone uses it now.
Yeah, people see the hype in it.
Yeah, because the offcuts you always give to like the poor people, and the only way you could really make offcuts is to cook them and stew them for a really long time, because they're so tough. These are the kind of cuts that, since you're stewing them,
they get so tender.
It gets so tender, but also since it has to stew, that means it's about 3 to 5 to even a whole day process of breaking down meat, sadly. The reason we use a cast iron or a Dutch oven is it maintains the heat evenly. Me being like a chef, I guess, like having the viewpoint of a chef, like sometimes I feel like my family like overtells and over romanticizes the story of how like Kampangans are like, we make the best food in all of the Philippines, and it kind of makes me like always want to know about the other regions. But like when I see like the Karekare and the sisigs, and just like I can see why they're so prideful. Like the Luzon region is really, honestly, it's their region that I feel like people are gonna know about first when it comes to learning about Filipino food. When I learned how to make this dish through family members, I feel like our like mom, dad, or aunties and uncles, their generation, they kind of like made food. They like saved a lot of steps by using a lot of like mamacita packets, or just like, this is a dish that I just like learned from them a lot, and they just use like, for instance, like water to make the kare kare, and then they thicken it with the rice powder and the peanut butter.
Yeah.
But water kind of like, you lose a little bit of flavor in the dish.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm going to use beef stock. I'm going to actually use coconut milk in my kare kare.
Okay.
And, yeah, super new. And then since I'm going to add onions, carrots, and garlic into the stew, I'm actually going to just like hand blend it or puree it at the end, and that's going to like make a super rich base.
Right. Because traditionally when you make kare kare, you basically just stew the meat, add water, and then add peanut butter. And the Achuete or Annatto oil to give it that color. And
the vegetables as well, by the way. The best way to have vegetables is just their pure, honest form. We're going to blanch the green beans, blanch the bok choy, get a super like vegetable, like green, fresh flavor for a dish that's going to be super rich, salty, beefy.
When I was a kid, I did not eat any of the tripe.
Same here.
And then I don't know what happened. Maybe I became like more of an adult, and I just was really hungry. I ate the tripe, and I was like, wow, I've been missing out so much when eating kare kare. Tripe is one of the ingredients that kind of makes it like, ugh, I don't know how I feel about this dish when you like explain it to someone. But again, you really just need to eat it to like really feel the full flavor of it, because all of those nooks and crannies of the tripe just like soak in all that sauce, you know?
Yeah, and also like I kind of had like a deep thought about it as I like started making this dish more.
Yeah.
When I think about like, I don't know, what they call the Philippines, basically a third world country, like we're essentially a poor country. It's like, you know, you don't want to waste food. If you kill an animal, you got to use every bit of it that you can. And
nose to tail cooking.
Yeah, nose to tail cooking. We were doing it before it was cool and trendy.
Yeah, exactly.
And,
dude. Like, there's so much stuff about like Filipino cooking that we did before like everyone. Just a reminder, this is traditional kare kare, but with a, you know, more thoughtful Californian chef twist.
I'm just like showing people how to build a little bit more flavor into the dish.
Yeah.
Compared to like what we're taught or what we see in a lot of recipes.
Yeah.
So after I sweat the carrots and onions, just like that, just get all the fond off. I add a good spoonful, just call it a tablespoon of bagoong, fermented shrimp paste. Coat the vegetables in it. You glaze the pan. It's traditionally served on the side of kare kare, so like why not infuse the stew with it?
Yeah.
Get some depth in it. You're gonna have a really deep flavor kare kare.
Nice.
So with tripe, when you guys get it at the store, try to break it up. Like if you get a whole stomach, please break it up, because if you boil a tripe whole, it's just gonna turn into this big balloon. So you want to break that up into smaller pieces. And tripe is a really funky, awful smell.
Because it is like the intestines.
Yeah, the intestines of the cow. So what you want to do to like get rid of the smell, start it in a pot of cold water, bring it up to a simmer, kill the heat, and strain all the water out, and do that like 3 to 4 times. It like helps to get like the smell of the from the tripe out. And to be honest, the tripe and the oxtail cook about the same amount of time. So they're both about a 3-hour stewing process. So it works perfectly for this dish.
Yeah. So that's like one of the other parts of this dish that like time consuming and like laborious. If you wanted to make this traditionally, how would you thicken the stew?
Yeah, so like if we didn't have like the carrots, onions, or a hand blender, because obviously you're thinking back in time, our like ancestors did not have a hand blender or a blender. Fished out all the meat from the stew and they would be left with beef water. And essentially they just put ground peanuts and ground toasted rice from a mortar and pestle, and that thickens it up. It's kind of like a cornstarch slurry. About it, like where like a lot of other Asian countries use to thicken up sauces.
And then it's that also that like Achuete that gives it that signature
like,
color.
Signature like orangey like red color.
After searing the oxtail and sauteing the carrots and onions, Bobby adds some bagoong or fermented shrimp paste for some added flavor. Afterwards, he deglazes the pan with beef stock rather than water. And to save 2 to 3 hours, we use an Instapot to get the oxtail tender while we prepare the vegetables. Unlike normal Kare Kare, where the vegetables are added into stew with the meat, Bobby roasts the eggplant and blanches the vegetables to keep their flavor and texture. The last thing to prepare are the thickeners. The downside to using an Instapot is that the liquid does not thicken and the flavors don't concentrate. So begin by toasting some rice in a pan until golden brown, then grinding in either a blender or traditionally with a pestle and mortar. Once the oxtail is done, about an hour, remove it and the tripe. Begin by adding the peanut butter, annatto, and other seasonings. This is honestly probably what I want to eat on my deathbed.
Honestly, it's probably my favorite Filipino dish. My way of doing it is just get everything separately, kind of section it off in my plate. If anything, I douse my rice with some of the Kare Kare sauce, so you get like that coconut milk, that peanut, the beef to flavor it. And I serve my bagoong on the side. Now I've seen a lot of people do a lot of things differently. Some people just put it on top of their Kare Kare. I've seen people mix in the bagoong into the sauce as they eat the Kare Kare. I've seen people mix the bagoong with the rice.
You can kind of see what makes this dish like so labor intensive, but like really worth it at the end.
Coconut milk is a different touch, right? But I actually love it. I honestly think it helps.
No, it has like a touch of sweetness for sure.
And I think Kare Kare kind of needs that sweetness sometimes.
Thanks for watching, guys. This is Bobby with Likha Eats. Right now they're on hiatus, but
right now we're on pause. But my pop-up is Likha Eats. We're actually currently looking for a brick and mortar, but if you just follow us at Likha Eats or just go online, you could see all our next events. We could be popping up at a bar. We could probably do a future collaboration with somebody in the Bay Area very soon. Just looking forward to feeding the community very, very soon.
Hopefully the recipe was easy to follow along. If you have any questions, drop a comment down below. And stay tuned for the next episode where we will be revisiting Ilocos, my mom's home province.